that was BS, didn't work. But, you know, their lives seemed to be working pretty well. They got money, they're on TV, I'm not. He wanted to be a playwright. He'd written 2 plays, they failed miserably. His wife said, get a real job, we have a kid coming. And he was running a karate studio and he was miserable. And so what he did was he said, I'm going to buy an audio program. The audio program sold for $149. He ordered it and he listened to it and it changed his life. He said, wow, I got to go for my dream. I have to shoot one more time for my passion. So he quit his job as the karate studio, and he said, I'm going to write one more screenplay or one more play. And he wrote a screenplay, and it was about a movie, kind of James Bond, you know, Russians versus Americans. He took it to California, and the day he went there, the Berlin Wall fell, and everyone said, we just don't want a Cold War movie anymore for a while because the Berlin Wall just fell down, context isn't right. He said, before I listened to that audio program, I would have said, the world sucks, see, this is just one more example, I get screwed. He said, but the truth is, I realized I had just made a decision where I picked a topic that wasn't timeless, and then I said, okay, what's a timeless topic that nothing that changes in the world can change it? And he said, love, love, love. Everyone loves love. Doesn't matter what happens in the world about love. Then he said, what's the typical love story? Boy meets girl, there's some problem. You know, Romeo and Juliet, 2 different warring families, can't get together. West Side Story, 2 different gangs, can't get together. Look who's coming to dinner, black guy, white woman. And we can go down a list. There's always this thing, you got to get through it. Finally, they get together, end of story, everyone's happy. He said, what if I do something totally different? What if they don't meet until the last scene of the movie? That's never been done. So he wrote a little screenplay called Sleepless in Seattle. And that screenplay earned him $500,000. And now every screenplay he writes is worth $1 million. Because he's now a Class A, you know, top-tier screenwriter in LA. And what happened was one audio program that changed his life forever. $149 investment turned into $500,000. So success principle number 9 is you got to learn more to earn more. Rhonda Byrne, who did The Secret, her life was miserable. Her daughter came to her and gave her a book. It was called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. How many of you have read that book? You'll hear Bob Proctor talk about that tremendously tomorrow. It's the book that changed his life. It's the book that later I read after Think and Grow Rich and other books that changed my life. She reads this book. She gets so excited about it. She says, why doesn't everyone know this? She goes out and she spends, I think she bought 300 books over the course of about 4 months. She read 300 books on law of attraction, science of success. Her investment was probably close to $1,000. Maybe more, a couple thousand, $3,000. Now she goes and she makes a movie called The Secret, and what happens is that movie costs $3 million to make. They've sold over 3 million copies. They've made $90 million based on her willingness to become a student, to learn more, and as a result of that, a producer who was, you know, okay, in Australia, now has a home about a block from Oprah, is working on a second movie, is working with Harpo Productions to create a reality show on The Secret, because she was willing to invest in her growth. Here's somebody who read my book. Look at all the little tabs in there. They've studied it more than I did. It's amazing. We've talked about a couple of principles of success. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So, final story. Woman calls her minister. Says, Reverend Jim, I just came back from the hospital and they've diagnosed me with terminal cancer. I wonder if you could come over this afternoon. He says, sure, of course, Aunt Hattie, I'll come over. Goes over to her house. He tries to comfort her. She says, don't comfort me. I'm fine. I don't understand healing. I just want to plan my funeral. Would you help me plan my funeral? And he says, of course, I'll help you plan your funeral. She says, I want to be buried in this dress. I want this hymn sung. I want these kind of flowers. I want a memory card that you give to all the people that came. I want my picture on it. This is my favorite poem. I'd like that on it. And she went on all the things she wanted. And then she said, I want to be buried with my family Bible in my left hand and a fork in my right hand. And he says, well, I understand the Bible, and Hattie, you're a very religious person, but why the fork? He says, whenever we have a church social and they're coming by to collect the plates after we've had a dinner down in the basement of the church, whenever there's going to be a really great dessert, something like apple pie or cherry pie or peach cobbler or chocolate cake, they always say, keep your fork. And whenever they say, keep your fork, I know we're going to have a really great dessert. So they're going to come by my casket and they're going to look in. And they're going to go, Reverend Jim, I understand the Bible. Aunt Hattie was very religious, but why the fork? Just look him in the eye and say, Aunt Hattie knew the best was still yet to come. And so for all of you, if you take these principles that you're learning here from all the different teachers, not just mine, but all of them, this whole 3 days becomes like a total gestalt. Everything I would have said that I didn't, someone else is going to say. You're going to get the full package. But if you'll go back and put them into practice, and if you take the things I have, and if they're attracted to you, or you're attracted to them, put them into practice. Do the work. Because there is some time to put in. And if it feels good and it's fun, continue to do it. If it's not, don't. If you put the work in, you keep your consciousness clear, and you think the thoughts, you create a vibrational match, I promise you, for each and every one of you, the best is still yet to come. Thank you. Have a great life. It's been a pleasure and an honor to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Good.